Akhandamandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupaswarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakhyam Namami Bhaktashaktikam Namah Pankajanabhaya Namah Pankajamaline Namah Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajanghraye Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sarvebhyo Namaha. Sarvesham Krite Swagatam. We will continue with our narrative of the 10th chapter of Bhagavad-gita. We are talking about Sri Bhagavan's vibhutis. Vibhutis are the splendorous aspect of Sri Bhagavan. Sri Bhagavan has everything inside him. He belongs to everything. Everything is pervaded by him. So one way to think about him is to think about him in awe or splendor. So to help us to do that, Sri Bhagavan gives examples of how he manifests in this universe, and he uses the logic of saying that I am the best. Think of me as the best in each class of entities. So in the last session, we saw 3 shlokas. Purodhasam cha mukyam mam vidhi partha brihaspatim senaninam ham skandaha sarasamasmi sagaraha. Among the priests, know me as the preeminent Brihaspati. Among the chiefs of armies, I am Skanda, the son of Shiva and Parvati. And among the stationary water bodies, I am the ocean. Maharshinam Bhriguraham Giramasmi ekam aksharam Yajnanam Japa Yajñosmi Stavaranam Himalayah. Among all the great Maharishis, I am the Maharishi Bhrigu. Among that which is uttered, I am the one syllable Om, the Pranava mantra, Om mantra. Among the Yajñas, I am Japa Yajña. And among stationary fixed position objects, I am the Himalaya. Ashvattaha Sarva Vrikshanam Devarshinam cha Naradaha Gandharvanam Chitrarataha Siddhanam Kapilo Munihi. Among all the trees, I am the Ashvatta Vriksha. Among the Devarishis, I am Narada Muni. Among the Gandharvas, I am the Gandharva known as Chitraratha. And among the Siddhas, I am Kapilo Munihi, Kapila, the Muni Kapila. So in this manner, we saw 3 shlokas last time, and in each class we discussed, tried to understand why that particular entity is considered the foremost. So today we will do 3 more shlokas from the Bhagavad-gita. Shloka number 27 is as follows. Uccaih shravasam ashvanam vidhima mamrutodbhavam airavatam gajendranam naranam cha naradhipam. Uccaih shravasam, Uccaih shravaha, Uccaih shravas. This refers to, this is the name of a horse. So in the Puranas, in Mahabharata and Ramayana, there is the narrative of the Ksheerasagara Manthana. It's called Samudra Manthan. Samudra Manthan is a narrative in which the Devas and Asuras once get together and they together churn the milk ocean with the hope of getting what they desire from it. Now, this narrative is understood to be a metaphorical narrative. It is not considered to be a historical event. Like the Mahabharata is an historical event. Ramayana is historical. They are called itihasas. But even in the itihasas, sometimes narratives which are metaphorical in nature, which communicate a meaning, a symbolic meaning of something else. For example, here the Devas and Asuras stand for the good and bad qualities in us, which are at conflict with each other, which sometimes get us into a dilemma. We are in conflict about whether to do this or that, because one nature of us tells us to do something, the other one says, no, that is bad, don't do it, do this. So in this manner, metaphors are used in the form of Devas, Asuras, the Mandara mountain, Vasuki, and so on. But we will not go into that story in detail today. We will just refer to it because Uccaih Shravaha here the horse, is said to have come out of that Samudra Manthan. So which means desirable objects are sometimes obtained when we introspect within ourselves. We do a manthan in our own thinking. Our mind is like a samudra. So we do a manthan inside that, and then if we do it properly, then initially poison comes out, but eventually the good things also come out. The good realizations come out. So here symbolically, the horse Uccaih, which is a real horse, which is actually the horse on which Indra rides. So that is mentioned, that came out. And it is prominent because it's Indra's horse, the king of the heaven, the king of the Devas. He rides that horse, not some ordinary king. So Uccaih Shravasam Ashwanam, Vidhimam Amrutodbhavam. And here again, Amrutodbhavam, which came out of Amrita, is not only that Uccaih Shrava, but also Airavata. Airavatam Gajendranam. Among the kings of the elephants, I am the elephant known as Airavata. And again, that's the elephant which belongs to Indra. That's for it's the king. It's the greatest of the elephants that we can find in this universe. So Airavatam Gajendranam, and that also came out of the Samudra Manthan. Naranam cha Naradhipam. Among the human beings or among the men, I am the king. The king is supposed to be the greatest among the men. Such a person is made the king because he has all the good qualities and he knows dharma. The king who abides by dharma is what is referred to here, not any general king. The king who is a dharmishta, who is situated in dharma and follows dharma and makes his subjects follow dharma. So Naranam cha Naradhipam. Such a king is representative of me. Think about me as that person. Among the horses and the kings of elephants, I am Uccaih Shrava. Among Airavata, among the king of elephants, I am Airavata, which emerged during the chanting of the milk ocean for nectar. And among the men, I am the king. The 28th shloka. Ayudhanam aham vajram, dhenunam asmi kamadhuk, prajanaschasmi kandarpaha, sarpanam asmi vasukihi. Ayudham. Ayudham means weapon. Among all the weapons that you can think of, I am the weapon held by Indra called the Vajra. The weapon called as Vajra, which is also referred to as a thunderbolt. It's like a thunderbolt. So when Indra strikes with that, then nobody can escape. Indra's very powerful weapon is the Vajra, and that's the most powerful weapon that Sri Bhagavan refers to. Think of me as that. Okay. So there is some more gyan about the Vajra, how it came to be Indra's weapon. And the story goes that there was this Brahmana called Twashta who was doing work for the Asuras. He was siding with the Asuras. This story is from the Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam. And Twashta once performed a sacrifice in which the son, his son known as Vishwarupa was born. And Vishwarupa turned out to be a very sattvic personality, but he was siding with the Asuras. He was giving secrets, Deva's secrets away to the Asuras. And so once Indra goes and kills him. Of course, Indra gets what is called as Brahmahatya. I mean, he gets the curse of Brahmahatya because he has killed a Brahmana. But that's a different story. But now, what happens? Twashta becomes very angry with that. How dare you kill my son? So he wants to take revenge on Indra. And to take revenge on Indra, he performs a great yajna, Maha Yajna, in which he wants to have a son. Just like, Dasharatha performed a yajna to have a son to continue his dynasty. So Putra Kameshti Yajna. But here the intent is not to continue his dynasty, but to kill Indra. So during the process of the yajna, he utters a word called Indrari. Indra's enemy. It's meant to be that, Indrari, but it's pronounced incorrectly. So in Veda chanting, if you pronounce a word incorrectly, then it can have a different meaning. So what happens? He pronounces it incorrectly by the hand of the divine, by the hand of the Supreme. He pronounces it incorrectly, and instead of the meaning being the son who will kill Indra, it becomes the son who will be killed by Indra. Okay, so Tatpurusha Samas means Indrasya Arihi Indrarihi, the son who will kill Indra. Instead, it becomes Indraha Arihi Yasya Saha, means one whom who will kill, one whom Indra will kill, one who will be killed by Indra. That is Bahuvrihi Samas. So from Tatpurusha Samas, it becomes Bahuvrihi Samas. As a result, of course, Twashta doesn't know it at that time. He thinks he is successful when he gets the son. So he gets a son called Vritrasura. It's a very powerful asura, demon, very powerful asura. He is born to Twashta, and he is so powerful that he destroys, he goes to Devaloka and destroys the Devas. He has a war with them, and the Devas are very scared. He causes destruction there. He's extremely powerful. So then the Devas, as usual, when something like this happens, they go to Brahma or to Vishnu, and this time they seek Vishnu's help. And Vishnu advises them that there is a sage called Dadichi, a Maharishi called Dadichi, and please go to him and request him. He will help you. But what you have to ask for is his bones. Okay? Not some blessing, but you want to ask for his bones so that with his bones you can make the weapon, and with this weapon you can kill Vitrasura. Only in this way you can kill him. There is no other way. Okay, so it's a very awkward thing to do. You can't go to someone and say, please give me your bones. I want to make a weapon with your bones, right? So anyway, they go and do it. But Maharishi Dadichi is so spiritually elevated personality that for him it doesn't look like a big thing at all. He says, oh, you want my bones, you want my life. Basically, you want to protect yourself, right? So you can see the difference in their thinking. One of them is thinking of protecting themselves. The other person is thinking, I'm sacrificing my life for you, for your protection. Right? So that's the greatness of Maharishi Dadichi. So immediately he agrees to it and he says, I just want to take bath in all the holy rivers before I give up my body for you. So the Devas, they bring all the holy rivers to his place. They say, you don't have to go. We will bring them all here so it will happen quicker. So they, by their power, they bring all the holy rivers to Dadichi's place and he takes bath in them. And then he gives up his body. He sits in dhyan and leaves his body. So he goes to the higher planets, and then his body is now left with them. So with the help of the sculptor known as Vishwakarma, this weapon called as Vajra is created. And using the Vajra, there is a major war. It's described in the Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam. And eventually, Indra kills Vritrasura with this. Vritrasura falls dead. Of course, in the Bhagavatam, it's also explained how Vritrasura is not just an ordinary asura. He's actually the king Chitraketu, who was reborn because he got a curse from Mother Parvati. That's a different story. Okay? And another time I will tell that story. But ultimately, Vritrasura, he is a bhakta. He is a Mahan bhakta. Chitraketu is a Mahan bhakta of Vishnu. So he happens to get a curse by the divine arrangement of Sri Bhagavan. He gets a curse from Mother Parvati, and he's born as an asura. And even as an asura, he utters what he speaks to Indra is teachings on bhakti. He speaks the bhakti philosophy as he is fighting with Indra. That's very interesting. And that we will deal with in some other class. But eventually, Indra manages to save himself and the Devas. He kills Vritrasura with the Vajra, and peace comes back to Swargaloka. Now, one interesting fact is that in India, we have a medal called the Paramveer Chakra. The Paramveer Chakra is the highest award given to somebody in the Indian military, the army or the navy or the air force. If they perform an activity which is of supreme, like some extraordinary sacrifice, they have given up their life for the country in a battle with the enemy, with Pakistan. Typically, India enemy is Pakistan or China. Fortunately, we don't have any more enemy. So either in a battle with one of these countries, somebody gives up their life, then they are given this Paramveer Chakra. And this Paramveer Chakra, which is considered the highest military decoration in India, is today designed with the Vajra, the symbol of the Vajra, in memory of Maharishi Dadichi, in the sacrifice that he made for something much higher than himself. Okay, so this is how the country appreciates what is given in the Shastra. So Ayudhanam aham Vajram, Dhenunam asmi Kamaduk. Among the cows, among the go, I am the Dhenu, the go called as Kamadhenu. Okay, Kamadhenu also came out. Of course, all of these creatures who are coming out of the Samudra Manthan, they are not born there. They just manifest themselves there in that story. They are all having some other birth. The original creation is something else. So Kamadhenu is the go which is held by Maharishi Vasishtha. We have heard about Kamadhenu earlier. And Kamadhenu is so powerful that she can generate, when she is pleased with you, she can bless you with anything that you desire. anything material that you desire. And maybe if you want bhakti also, she can give you the blessing that you will be on the path of bhakti. So, Kamadhuk, Dhenu Namasmi Kamadhuk. Prajanascha Kandarpaha. Prajanaha here refers to the factors which enable procreation, factors which enable us to reproduce, reproductive factors. And among them, Sri Bhagavan says that I am Kandarpa, that is the desire for union, physical union with the opposite partner, with our partner. Okay, so Prajanascha Kandarpaha, because among the different factors which can entice somebody to be able to reproduce and create a child, the most important factor is that desire. If that desire is absent, there's a very interesting story in the life of the saint Ramanuja. I was reading that he had a brother, Ramanuja had a brother called as Govinda. It's not much known about, but it's there in his biography. And he was also very sattvic, just like Ramanuja was spiritually very elevated. Govinda was equally spiritually elevated personality. And Govinda, when he got married, after some time, when the time came, Ramanuja advises him, now that you are a married person, it's your job to go to your wife when she's at the right time and produce your successor. You have to now produce a child. That's your duty as a father. Okay, your wife will be waiting for you. Please go and do this. This is your duty. So then Govinda, he goes, and next day Ramanuja asks him whether he did his job. And Govinda says, I could not do it. I was sleeping next to her, but my thought was on Bhagavan completely. I could not get myself to do what you want me to do. So then Ramanuja tells him that yes, that means that you are now ready for taking sannyas. You have reached that level. Where even when you are getting an opportunity, when you are asked to do it, you are not able to do it. Your mind has become so elevated, you have become so pure. Your mind has become so pure that that Kandarpa cannot enter your mind. That force, that conjugal force cannot enter your mind. And therefore, you're ready for sannyas. And that is the qualification for someone who, has the, you can say, can take sannyas. Otherwise, you can't take sannyas. You're not supposed to. Right? But here, that Kandarpa, and Baladev Vidyabhushana in his commentary on this shloka, he points out that Sri Bhagavan has carefully worded this. Prajanaschasmi Kandarpa, this conjugal desire, its purpose, it's there in all of us. And its purpose is not sensual enjoyment. It is given for the purpose of this only, for producing a child only. And once we have the child that we want, or the number of children that we want, somebody may want to have 2 children, somebody may want to have 4 children, whatever it is. But once you have that many children, then you stop doing it. Because that is the purpose for which it is given. It is not given for the purpose of sensual enjoyment. Right? Sri Baladev Vidyabhushana points out. And that's what the Shastra teaches. That Kandarpa, the force of the desire, the kama, is given for that purpose. Sarpanamasmi Vasukihi. Among the snakes or among the serpents. Okay, the English word serpent and the Sanskrit word sarpaha. There's a similarity between them. Sarpanamasmi Vasukihi. Among the sarpas, I am Vasuki. I'll talk about Vasuki a little bit more now. But before that, among the weapons, I am Vajra, the thunderbolt of Indra. Among the cows, I am Kamadhenu, who provides what one desires. Among the enablers of procreation, I am conjugal desire, Kandarpa. And among the serpents, I am Vasuki. Next. The 29th shloka, Sri Bhagavan says, Anantaschasmi naganam varuno yadasamaham Pitrinam Aryamaschaasmi, Aryamaschasmi, Pitrinam Aryamaschasmi, Yamaha Sanyamatamaham. Okay, Anantaha. So in the previous shloka, he says, Sarpanam Asmi Vasuki. Now he is saying, Anantaschasmi Naganam. Among the serpents, I am Vasuki. Among the Nagas, I am Ananta. So, what is the connection between the two? Now, both Vasuki and Ananta are both sons of Kashyapa Maharishi and his wife Kadru. Kashyapa Maharishi we have spoken about in the previous sessions. One of the great Maharishis, he was the Prajapati. He produces offspring to populate this universe when Brahma creates at the beginning of this kalpa. So one of his wives, he has many wives, Aditi, Diti. One of them is Kadru. And Kadru had multiple children who are all different forms of snakes. Okay, we say snake in English, but they're called Nagas in Sanskrit. So different forms of Sarpas or Nagas, they are children of Kadru through Kashyapa. And One of them is Ananta, the other one is Vasuki, and both of them are considered as kings or the greatest among the snakes. Okay, so in two consecutive shlokas, in one of them Sri Bhagavan says, Sarpanam asmi Vasukihi. In the next one, he says, very next phrase is Anantam, Anantascha Naganam asmi Anantaha, right? So, what is the difference between the two? Sri Baladev Vidyabhushana points out in his commentary that Vasuki is the greatest among the one-headed snakes. He has only one head, and at least the snakes we see on the earth, they all have one head. They're one-headed snakes. But Nagas in general need not have only one head. Nagas can have multiple heads. Like Ananta, for example, he is said to have a very large number of heads. So Ananta is the king among multiple headed snakes, more than one-headed snakes. That is why Sri Bhagavan distinguishes between them. Sarpanam asmi Vasukihi, Anantaschasmi Naganam. Two different are pointed out, one-headed snakes and multi-headed snakes. Garuda is their half-brother, Vinata. Garuda is the son of a wife of Kashyapa again, called Vinata, and he's called Vainateya because of that. And his name will also come a little later in the same sequence. And he is their half-brother, interestingly, because eagles, they are actually enemies of snakes, right? So between Garuda and the sons of Kadru, there is always some conflict. And Vasuki is also seen around Shiva's neck. You see Shiva Bhagavan, around his neck there is a snake, right? And that is Vasuki. But Ananta is seen as the couch of Vishnu. Vishnu is always resting on Ananta Sesha. Vasuki appears in the Samudra Manthan as the churning rope, and the Devas and the Suras want to churn the mountain, churn the ocean, the Shira Sagara. They use the mountain called Mandara Parvata, and they use Vasuki as the rope, or he volunteers to be the churning rope. And like I just mentioned, Vasuki is one-headed, whereas Ananta has a very large number of heads. The number is not given. In some places said to be very, very high, sometimes said to be 1,000. And Ananta manifests in Ramayana, Mahabharata. In Ramayana, he is Lakshmana. Lakshmana is Ananta Sesha. In the original, in Bhagavatam, the description of Sri Bhagavan Krishna, Krishna is the original Rupa, original Mula Rupa of Bhagavan is as Krishna of Vrindavan or Gokula. And from that Krishna, different manifestations, he manifests himself in different ways. And his manifestation is Vishnu. He takes four forms, Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. And in his manifestation as Sankarshana, he becomes Ananta Sesha. And Vasudeva becomes Mahavishnu. So that Sankarshana becomes Lakshmana. He becomes Balram. When Krishna comes to Gokula, he takes birth in Mathura, he takes birth as Balram, Ananta Sesha. And similarly, in the Kali Yuga, the scholar Ramanuja, the Vaishnava scholar Ramanuja, is understood by his followers to be Ananta Sesha. And among the grammarians, the Maharishi Patanjali, who also wrote Yoga, Patanjali Yoga, right? So Patanjali, he is also the Bhashyakar of the Ashtadhyayi, that is, he wrote a Mahabhashya on Panini's sutras, Patanjali Mahabhashya. So Patanjali is also understood as an incarnation or an avatar of Ananta Sesha. So this is how Ananta is known in today's world. So Anantaschasmi Naganam Varuno Yadasamaham. Yadas, the word Yadas here refers to creatures which live in the water, aquatic creatures. So among the aquatic creatures, I am the deity known as Varuna. Varuna is one of the prominent deities in our Hindu Samskriti. And Varuna is understood along with Aryama. So Varuna is another son of Kashyapa. So Kashyapa's many sons are being narrated here in the 10th chapter. And he is a son of Kashyapa with his wife Aditi. So he's a Aditya. He's one of the Adityas. And both of them, Varuna and Aryama, both are sons of Kashyapa and Aditi. Varuna resides in the water along with the aquatic creatures. He is considered the most prominent among them. Varuna, along with his brother Mitra, also a son of Aditi, they together fathered the sage Vasishta. The sage Vasishta is said to have had many births. He's originally the son of Brahma, Manasaputra of Brahma. But in one of his births, he appears as the son of Varuna and Mitra with the Apsara known as Urvashi. So there is some Leela like that. In the Bhagavatam, there is a very interesting story which involves Varuna, in which Nanda Maharaj, the father of Krishna in Gokula, he goes to he after doing Ekadashi, once after an Ekadashi Vrata while doing Paran means you break the fast. Breaking the Vrata is called Parana, Vrata Paran. So that is done on the next day morning at Suryodaya. When the sunrise comes, Paran is done. So just before Suryodaya, he goes to Yamuna and he wants to do his Paran there. At that time, somebody comes and kidnaps him. And that happens to be a servant of Varuna. Varuna has a residence somewhere in the water in Yamuna. So that servant is roaming around. He sees Nanda there. He thinks, what is this person doing here? So he takes him away and takes him to the palace of Varun. And then Varuna and Nanda Maharaj doesn't return here. These people are all waiting. So where is father gone? He's not come back. He went for doing Paran, but he's not turned up. So Krishna immediately understands. He thinks about it and he gets the answer. So he says, I'll bring him back. So he goes to Varuna's palace. And as soon as he goes there, Varuna becomes overwhelmed. Shri Bhagavan has come to my palace. And then he receives him, worships him, and immediately gives Nanda Maharaj back to him. Varuna says that, I'm sorry that my servant kidnapped him, but I think it is your Leela because it's because of that I got to see you today and you have come to my house. So this is a very beautiful story in the Bhagavatam. Varuna is also one of the Ashta Dikpalakas. So we have 10 directions and sometimes we talk about 8 directions as the Ashta Dik. And each direction has got one deity. And the deity of the western direction is the deity known as Varuna. So these are all different ways in which Varuna is spoken about in our Shastra. So Anantaschasmi Naganam Varuno Yadasamaham Pitrinam Aryama Chasmi. I just spoke about Aryama. Not much is given about Aryama. I tried to get more information. In the future, maybe if I get more, I will add it. But what is mentioned here is that he is the foremost among the deities of Pitr loka. Okay, what does Pitr loka refer to? Pitr loka is one of the more higher lokas compared to Bhuloka. We are living on Bhuloka. This loka is called Bhuloka, the earth, which we call earth in English, but it refers to the earthly manifestation. So higher than that, there are many lokas, and one of them is Pitr loka. Pitr loka is occupied by the deities who take care of the process of Pitr seva. For example, numerous types of seva is done to our forefathers, people who passed away before us, our ancestors. And one of the prominent ones there is the Shraddha ceremony. We do it every year or every month, every Amavasya. So different traditions are there. According to the tradition, we make offerings to our Pindadan. We make Pindadan to our forefathers, our ancestors. So the deities who take care of this process of Pitr seva, like Pindadan, etc., the deities who are managing that whole system, they are called Pitr Devatas. So the Pitr Devatas, among them, the foremost one is Aryama. The head of the Pitr Devatas is Aryama. Okay, so Pitranam Aryamas Chasmi, Pitranam Aryama. The original Sanskrit word is Aryaman, and that becomes Aryama. So Aryama Chasmi. Yamaha Sanyamatamaham. So among the law enforcing authorities, okay, just like in this country we have the judiciary, which is the law enforcing authority, right? Or it's part of the law enforcement process where judgment is required. Similarly, assisting them is the police force and sometimes the military also. Okay, they're all part of the law enforcing system. So similarly, the universe has got a law enforcing system for all living beings, not only for Manushas, but for every living being. They come under Dharma. The overall law comes under the framework of Dharma. And when Dharma is violated, law is violated, and there is a repercussion for that. Similarly, when Dharma is followed, law is upheld, and there is reward for that. Both reward and punishment is under the purview of this law enforcing system. And the head of all of that is the person known as Yama. Okay, the word Yama is also used. Yama means regulation. In normal Sanskrit language, Yamaha means regulation or disciplining, regulating. Right? And this post is called the post of Yama.
Patanjali also we have in Patanjali you refer to that.
Yama is one of the disciplines. Among the Nagas, I am the 1,000-headed. Okay, a little bit more gyan about Yama. I got some information. Yama is the son of Surya Deva, also called Vivaswan. In this Manvantara, the Surya Deva is called Vaivasvata Manvantara. The Surya here is called Vivaswan, and Manu is the son of this Surya. So it's called Vaivasvata Manu. So Yama is the head of the universal judiciary and equivalent to the Chief Justice of India. So in India, we have a Chief Justice. Other democratic countries also have Chief Justices. And so here, Yama is the universal CJ, Chief Justice. And he is also one of the 8 Dikpalakas like Varuna. He is the Dikpalaka of the south. The direction of the south is called Yama's direction. And you might have encountered this sometimes when, if you've seen a death in your family or among your relatives, they say that the dead body, the body of the dead person, must be placed with the head pointing towards the south, because he is now on his way towards Yamaloka. And the Yama that is currently present, the current Manvantara's Yama, is also a Shuddha Bhakta of Sri Bhagavan, and this is seen in the Bhagavatam. He appears in the Bhagavatam. He appears in many places, but in the Bhagavatam, in the Shashta Skanda, in the 6th Skanda of Bhagavatam, there is the narrative of Ajamila. In the narrative of Ajamila, very, very briefly to tell you, Ajamila, I'll tell you the story more elaborately later, but Ajamila is a very pious Brahmana, but unfortunately, due to contact with a woman of very low character, with a prostitute, he falls down and he becomes a slave to that woman. He has children through her. He leaves his own wife. And eventually, at the point of death, he is completely away from his dharma as a Brahmana. He's become very, very adharmic. But by some divine arrangement, he has a 4-year-old son. Although he's a very old man, he has a son of just 4 years of age, whom he has named as Narayan. And so at the point of death, he has developed a very deep attachment, because his own wife also has left him. She's also become an old woman, so there's no longer any romance between them. So the son, who is just 4 years of age, he becomes his only attachment. He is very deeply attached to that son. So at the point of death, because of the adharma that he has done a lot of adharma in his life. And at that point, the Yama's dutas, the servants of Yama, the messengers of Yama, just like if somebody commits crime, the messengers of the law enforcing system, which are the police force. So some police constables and inspectors will come to that person's house and then take him away, right? So the police force here is the Yamadutas. The Yamadutas come and they are snatching him away from his body. They're removing him away, and he sees the Yamadutas in front of him, and he becomes extremely scared, and he asks them, "Who are you? What do you want?" And they don't obviously reply to him, so they are pulling him out of his body. At that time, he calls out to his son, and because his son is the only attachment he has, so he calls out to him desperately, "Where are you? Where are you? Come, Narayana, Narayana, Narayana." He just calls out, and immediately Vishnu's messengers come there. Okay. Suddenly, everybody sees, both the Yamadutas and Ajamila see 2-3 other people coming in, and they are all dressed like, they all look like Vishnu. It's like 3 Vishnus have come suddenly. So they tell the Yamadutas, "Please stop." So Yamadutas say, "Who are you and what are you doing?" So they say that he has called us, so we have come. So then there is a debate between them. And this debate is also symbolic. This debate is also metaphorical. It's a debate between 2 schools of philosophy. One is called Purva Mimamsa, which is representing Samanya Dharma, which is what the Yamadutas represented. And the other is called Uttara Mimamsa or Vedanta, which is the philosophy of bhakti, which Bhagavatam is trying to say that if you call the name of Vishnu, if you think of Vishnu at the point of death, then regardless of what else you have done, he will come to you. Of course, it doesn't mean that we can do whatever we like and then just think that at the last minute I'll call the name of Vishnu, everything will be all right. Okay, now let me khao piyo ash karo or Vishnu ka naam le lo mrityu ke time pe. It will not work. Okay, it worked for him, but it won't work for us. And he didn't plan it that way. It just happened. Okay, that's happening through him, because through him, Sri Bhagavan is teaching us that this is the potency of that Harinam. Of course, it won't work if we plan it that way. It will never work. And therefore, it is said that Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Ma Manusmarayudhya. All the time, think about me, Sri Bhagavan says. If you think about him all the time, then you don't have to worry about thinking about him at the point of death. That will automatically happen if it has to happen. So Yama is a Shuddha Bhakta of Bhagavan, and in this tale, he eventually Yamadutas go back to him. The Vishnu Dutas, they take away Ajamila. They don't allow the Yamadutas to take him. And so Yamadutas go back empty-handed and they complain to Yama that, we went to do our job, but some three other guys came and they look like this and they said all these things. We don't know what to do. They were more powerful than us and we couldn't stop them. So now we just want to report this to you. We are sorry we couldn't do our job. Then Yama gives them Gyan. He says that no, what they did was the right thing. And he explains the philosophy of bhakti there. He talks about the power of Harinam. And that's the story of Ajamila. So this comes out in the narrative of Yama. Anantaschasmi naganam varuno yadasamaham pitrinam aryamaschasmi yamaha sanyamatamaham. Among the Nagas, I am the thousand-headed Ananta. Among the creatures that live in the water, I am Varuna. I am Aryama, the foremost among the Pitr Devatas, and I am Yama among the law-enforcing authorities. Okay, so in this way, we see how Sri Bhagavan is now elaborating more and more. He has given us now in these three shlokas 11 more instances of his splendor, the best among a certain class of entities. And through this, he gives us a way to think about him. It is particularly relevant for people who approach Sri Bhagavan through thinking about him in awe. And they want to think about him as somebody who is extremely awesome, extremely magnificent, extremely splendorous. Then reading these shlokas and contemplating upon him in that way is an appropriate means to do that. Now we will continue with the narrative of Bhishma. Bhishma is, like we have been saying, exemplary follower of Dharma. And he's also a bhakta of Bhagavan. But when he appears here, he upholds Dharma. Both Samanya Dharma and Bhagavad Dharma, both are visible in his lifetime. And today, in the last session on Bhishma, we talked about the first day of the Kurukshetra war when Yudhishthira goes to him and seeks his blessings. And Bhishma is very happy with Yudhishthira and he says that, please ask me whatever you like. I would have liked to fight for you. I would have liked to be on your side and my heart is with you. But because of my obligations, arthastu purushasya arthasya daso purushaha. Arthastu daso na kasyachit. Arthasya daso purusha. Arthasya purusho daso. Arthastu daso na kasyachit. So, all men are servants of Artha, but Artha is nobody's servant. And I have become a servant of these people simply because of material obligation. Through their wealth, they have actually made me their servant. And now I am fighting for them, but my heart is not with them. So Bhishma points that out. So throughout the Kurukshetra war, in 10 days of the war, Bhishma fights for Duryodhana, but with the heart on this side, on the Pandavas side. So this particular incident that we are going to talk about today is very interesting. It begins with Bhishma's commitment to Duryodhana on the night of day 8. So all the days, in each day of the war, a very elaborate description in the Mahabharata, in the Bhishma Parva of the Mahabharata. It's also called the Bhishma Vada Parva. The subsection of the Bhishma Parva, there's some subsection called Bhishma Vada Parva. And in that, the Kurukshetra war, day by day, day 1, day 2, day 3, and very elaborate description is given. But we are now beginning our story with the night of day 8. On the 8th day of the war, the Pandavas, they dominate the battlefield and they cause enormous destruction on the Kauravas side. And, some brothers of Duryodhana also are killed by Bhima. Bhima, every now and then, every other day, Bhima kills a few brothers because his vow is to kill all of them, all the 100 of them. And eventually he kills all the 100 of them. But it's not all on one day. It's spread over the 18 days. And Duryodhana is the last one, as we know. And so eventually, by day 8, he has killed some of them. And Duryodhana is already feeling depressed. And what is most depressing to him is that he has two of the greatest fighters on his side, Bhishma and Drona. But even they are not able to do anything against the Pandavas. So on the night of day 8, Duryodhana sits with his closest accomplices. So who are Duryodhana's closest accomplices in the whole Mahabharata story? The three other people. One is Shakuni, his uncle. The second is Dushasana, his own brother. And the third is Karna. So Duryodhana, Karna, Dushasana, and Shakuni. These four are the four, the four wicked people in the Mahabharata story. So he sits with the three of them, and the four of them together put their minds and they realize that Bhishma, even though he's on our side, he's not contributing enough. He's not doing what he's expected to do. He's killing a lot of people. He's rooting whatever battles he is fighting, he is winning. But overall, we are losing. Right? So what's the point? It's like in a cricket match sometimes. One batsman does extremely well, hits a double century, but the team loses. Or one bowler gets 8 wickets. He shines, he gets medals, awards, Padma Shri, everything, but the team is losing every match. And what's the big deal? So that's what is happening here. And Duryodhana then says, what do we do now? And Karna suggests to him that, look, not Karna, I think Dushasana and Shakuni, and they suggest to him that I think, Bhishma is not doing his job. He doesn't have a heart here. So let's ask him to step out of the war. Let's ask him to retire. We can't do anything. Let him retire because now he is the commander in chief. Everybody follows him. And as long as he is in the battlefield, Karna will not fight. But even though he may be more capable than Karna, he is ineffective. So let's bring Karna into the picture and make him the commander in chief. If he becomes the commander in chief, then he will fight. Karna is also there in the meeting. And he is agreeable to this. He says, if you ask Bhishma to get out, I will take charge. And I will completely finish all of them. I'll finish the Pandavas. Right? He says like that. And so all of them are foolish. Karna is also foolish. He says something that which he cannot do. He's not capable of doing that. But he says it nevertheless. And Duryodhana is excited when he hears that. So he goes to Bhishma's camp, where Bhishma is staying that night. He enters Bhishma's tent. He offers his respects very respectfully. And then he speaks very caustic words. He speaks very hurting words to Bhishma. He first worships him and then very sarcastically he says that you're so great, you're doing this, you're doing that. But whatever you're doing is of no use. Whatever you have done, nothing has come out of it. So if your heart is not with me, if your heart is with the Pandavas, then I request you, please leave this war and let us put Karna in your place. He will definitely kill the Pandavas. If you don't want to do it, he will do it. So please make way for him. He says that. So hearing that, Bhishma is extremely hurt and his eyes being a Kshatriya, he cannot tolerate it. So he says that, any Kshatriya, when you challenge him, you say that you're incapable of something. The first thought that comes to the Kshatriya's mind is, I will show you that I am capable. So immediately he says that, I will show you what I am capable of doing. Earlier, Bhishma has made a commitment that I will not kill the Pandavas. The 5 Pandavas, I will not kill them. I will kill 10,000 people every day in the war. I will fight furiously. And he does that. He keeps his word. But he says, the Pandavas, I will not kill. So he says that tomorrow, I will rout the Pandava army. I will do maximum damage to them. So this is how the day 8 night takes place. And the next morning, Bhishma goes out into the war battlefield and he causes maximum damage to the Pandava army. So as this damage is happening, Arjuna comes up in the front and Arjuna faces Bhishma. And Arjuna and Krishna together, they face Bhishma, and there's a lot of description of how Bhishma rains enormous amount of arrows on them. They are hurt, they are bleeding. Of course, nothing happens to them. Arjuna is also equally capable as Bhishma. So nothing happens to him and he fights back. But nothing happens to Bhishma too. And it's like an equal battle. Nothing happens to either party and the battle just goes on and on and on. And at one point, it becomes so intense that Krishna, in his mind, he says that Arjuna, being so capable, he is not doing his best. So suddenly, in the middle of that battle, Krishna charges Bhishma. He gets down from his chariot. And there are 2-3 versions of this. In one version, in the Mahabharata version, which I am reading in the Gita Press edition, Krishna just gets down and he rushes towards Bhishma. And as he is rushing towards Bhishma, instantly Arjuna sees this. And Arjuna also gets down and he runs after Krishna. Because he gets the signal that Krishna is now telling me that I am not doing enough. So he feels ashamed. So he goes to Krishna to tell him, Krishna, please stop. I will now do enough. I will do my job. Please stop. So he goes to stop Krishna. Because just before Arjuna has entered the scene, when Bhishma is routing the Pandava army, before Arjuna and Krishna enter the scene, Krishna has spoken to Arjuna and told him that look at the damage that Bhishma is doing. Now you have given a vow. You have told me that you will take on Bhishma and you will not allow him to damage your army. You will not allow him to do this, that you will be able to nullify him. Now do it. So after saying this, Krishna has brought Arjuna there into that place, but still nothing is happening. Bhishma is still what he is. Arjuna is still fighting with him. So now when Krishna charges there, he gets down from the chariot and charges towards Bhishma. Arjuna understands that Krishna is indicating to me that I am not doing enough, so he will do my job. So he runs to Krishna and he holds Krishna's shoulders. He tries to stop him. But that's not good enough. Krishna is so forceful. He's running with full speed towards Bhishma. So Arjuna falls down and then holds his feet. When he holds his feet, Krishna stops. And it said in the Mahabharata, this is the 10th step. Shri Bhagavan had taken 10 steps by that time. And as he was taking those 10 steps, the whole earth was shaking under the weight of his footsteps. With that force, he was walking. He was walking with full speed and with a lot of anger on his face. That I will kill Bhishma because Arjuna is not doing his job. I will do it for protecting the Pandavas. It is my vow that my bhaktas will always be protected. I will never let my bhaktas down. So I will kill Bhishma. Okay. Now, this story is extremely interesting because what would Bhishma do? What would anybody do when somebody is rushing at them, wanting to kill them, especially somebody like Bhishma, who is an expert warrior? When somebody from the enemy's side comes rushing towards them, what would they do? Let's see what Bhishma did. So I'll take you to the shlokas, the specific shlokas which explain what he did. This is in the Mahabharata Bhishma Parva, chapter 107, shloka number 63 to 67. 4 shlokas I will read. Tam apatantam samprekshya pundarikaksha mahave asambhramam rane bhishmaha vichakarsha mahadhanuhu. So tam apatantam, seeing him rushing, samprekshya means seeing Pundarikaksha. Krishna's another name is Pundarikaksha, one who has the eyes like a lotus, which look like as beautiful as a lotus. Seeing such a person with beautiful eyes like lotuses coming towards him, asambhramam, without any confusion. Sambhramam means confusion or ambiguity, or mind is chakkar, man mein chakkar aa raha hai. But without any chakkar, with clarity of mind, rane, Bhishma, in the battlefield, vichakarsha, mahaddanuhu. He lifted his bow and drew the string, looking at Krishna rushing towards him. Instantly, that was his spontaneous reaction. So when a warrior sees somebody rushing towards him, immediately the weapon will come out. And he rushed, he took out his weapon and he immediately took poise, took stance and got ready for Krishna's attack. And then what happened? So seeing Pundarikaksha, Sri Krishna rushing towards him on the battlefield, Bhishma without confusion drew his mighty bow. Then Uvacha chaiva Govindam asambhrantena chetasa ehyehi Pundarikaksha deva deva namostute. Then Bhishma realized at that instant that the person rushing towards him is not some ordinary human being. So he said in his mouth, Uvacha means he said, chaiva, Govindam, oh Govindam, towards Govinda, who is coming towards him. Asambhrantena, means without any confusion. He was very clear about what he was saying. Asambhrantena chetasa means with a very clear mind. His thinking is very clear. Ehi, come. Ehi means come. Please come, welcome. Pundarikaksha, oh, one with beautiful lotus-like eyes. Deva, God of all the gods. Namostute, I offer my respects to you. So you see, first reaction was, he took up the bow instantly. That is what is called as a reflective action, right? Reflexive action. Suppose you touch some hot object, immediately your hand will withdraw. So a Kshatriya, when he sees an enemy coming towards him, immediately the weapon goes up, right? In the airport, you'll see that there are CISF people, the military people are there with Sten guns or with AK-47s or whatever guns they have. They're all sitting behind sandbags and you will see there's a board there. Don't come near me or don't talk to me, something like that, right? There are boards like that. They're all watching. They watch every guy and they're waiting with the gun there. The moment they see somebody who looks like a terrorist or who's behaving like a terrorist, the gun will go up and they will take aim, right? So it's just like that, reflective action. But the next moment he realizes that this person is not an ordinary human being who's coming towards me. He's not just a fighter. It's Sri Bhagavan who is rushing towards me. And that, you see, is the rarest of rare circumstances. Why? Because the goal of life is to attain Bhagavan. And everybody in the path of yoga, in so many different paths, they say the goal of life is to attain him. And so many paths, they do tapasya, they do so many different types of sadhana. They spend years making sacrifices, doing vratas, doing japa. So many things are done to attain Bhagavan eventually. So going to Bhagavan is the ultimate goal, ultimate aim. And now Bhagavan is himself coming to you. Just imagine. He is saying, I'll come to you and take you from here. On top of that, this person, Bhishma, he has the blessing from his own father that he can choose to call death. Right? For him, the blessing is not that at the time of death you will think of God or something like that. Even that would be a great blessing if that happens. But for him, the blessing is that you will not die until you call death to come and take you away. Only then you will die. And here, death is coming in the form of Bhagavan. Bhagavan is coming to take him away. Bhagavan is coming to kill him, which means Bhagavan is saying that you don't have to perform any yoga, tapasya, etc. I am going to take you. So he realizes that in that moment. And he's chanting, he's saying, come, please come, my respects unto you. With a clear and unflurried mind, Bhishma said, come, O Govinda, Pundarikaksha, Deva, my respects unto you. Mamadya satvata sreshta, patayasva mahahave, tvayahi deva sangrame, hatasyapi mamanaga, shreya eva param Krishna, loke bhavati sarvataha. So Mamadya, for me today, O Satvata Sreshta, among the greatest among the people, among your bhaktas, please, Patayaswa means please knock me down. Patayaswa means knock me down. Please knock me down, Mahahave, in this great battle. Please knock me down in this great battle. I'm standing for you to knock down. Tvayahi Deva Sangrame Hatasyapi Mamanaga. If you kill me, if you knock me down and kill me, O sinless one, Mama Anaga. Anaga means one who doesn't do any sin, one who is sinless. That is Bhagavan. Shreya eva param. I will get the highest Shreya, the highest benefit that can be got by anybody will come to me. Krishna, oh Krishna, loke bhavati sarvataha. In all respects, the highest benefit that anybody can get in all respects in this world will come to me if you knock me down in this battle. Please do that. Oh deity of his bhaktas, knock me down on this battlefield. Oh Krishna, oh Deva, oh sinless one. If I'm killed by you, it will bring me the greatest good in all respects in this world. Sambhavitosmi Govinda, Trilokyena Adya Sanyuge, Praharasva Yatheshtam Vai Dasosmi Tavachanagha. He says, Sambhavitosmi, I have been honored today by you. This is the greatest honor that anybody can receive, that Bhagavan is running towards him. Trilokyena, all the three worlds today will narrate this incident. That's what we are doing now, right? So all the three worlds will glorify me because of this reason, that you ran towards me to kill me. Because we didn't do this for anybody else. Only to me you're doing this, oh Govinda. So therefore, kill me. Praharasva yatheshtam. Kill me in the manner that you want to kill me. I won't tell you how. You kill me whatever way. Yatheshtam. By dasosmi. Dasosmi tavachanaga. I am your servant. I am your humble servant. Please kill me. Please take me away from here. Okay. Oh Govinda, I have been honored on this battlefield today by the three worlds. Oh sinless one, strike me as you wish, for I am your servant. So there are multiple interpretations of this story of Bhishma. Beautiful interpretation, beautiful story where, Krishna, you can see this Leela, in this Leela, he achieves multiple objectives. One is that on the one hand, he feels Arjuna is not playing to his potential. Okay, he's got enormous potential. He is displaying a lot of it, but he's not displaying the full potential that he has in him. If he really displayed his potential, he could have knocked Bhishma down. That's what Krishna wants to tell Arjuna. So he says, I will do what you're supposed to do because you're not doing your job. On the one hand, Arjuna is feeling guilty, so he's running behind Krishna to hold him. On the other hand, another Bhakta, Bhishma, he is now feeling, wow, I've got what I want, what I was aspiring for, and this nobody can ask for. I've got something that no one can ask for, and this is coming to me unsolicited. And so he's making both his bhaktas He's evoking different sentiments appropriately in both the bhaktas of his on two sides. And that Leela is narrated very often. There are different versions of this in the Bhagavatam. I'll read the Bhagavatam shlokas which refer to the same incident in the next class, where we will talk about Bhishma leaving his body eventually, when he's lying on the Sharashaya, the bed of arrows, and he leaves his body. We'll talk about the incident at that point of time. And there in those two shlokas, Bhishma recollects how Krishna came running towards him, and there he mentions that Krishna broke his own promise to keep my promise. Okay, so from what is narrated in the Mahabharata, we can see that Krishna broke one promise of his that he had made. Earlier, when Duryodhana and Arjuna had gone to take Krishna's support in the war, Krishna had told them that I will offer, since both of you have come and both of you are dear to me, I will offer myself to one of you and my army to the other person. And the side on which I am present, I will not fight. My army will fight, whichever side it's present. But the side on which I am present, I will not fight. I will be just present on that side. And Arjuna gets the first choice. And Arjuna chooses Krishna without thinking. And Krishna is now on Arjuna's side. And he has made a promise that I will not fight. And he keeps the promise till this point of time. But at this point of time, he gets down as if to fight. He's still not fighting, but he makes an action of fighting against Bhishma. He charges at Bhishma. So therefore, Bhishma says Krishna broke his promise. But there in the Bhagavatam shloka, he says to keep my promise, to fulfill my promise. And that promise of his, what promise he made, the only promise that we see that he is making, Bhishma is making in the Mahabharata, is to Duryodhana on the night of day 8, where he promises Duryodhana, tomorrow I will destroy the Pandava army, and he does that. So what is the promise that he is referring to? Now, somewhere else in the Shastra it's mentioned, and it's also in the commentaries of the Acharyas, that apparently Bhishma said that I will make Krishna take up his arms. I will make Krishna take up a weapon to fight. I will fight so furiously tomorrow that Krishna will have to take up a weapon. I'll make him take up a weapon. And this statement by Bhishma is not in the Mahabharata edition that I am reading. So I guess, and I couldn't find it elsewhere too. So I don't know where it is. It's not in the Bhagavatam as well. In the Bhagavatam, it is
Sir, I have
just.
also read this, sir. It is true. I have also read this statement, sir. Yeah.
So it is not in the Bhagavatam too. The statement that Bhishma saying that I will make Krishna take up weapons is not in the Bhagavatam as well. I don't know where it is given, but the commentators refer to it, and therefore it must be in some Shastra somewhere. Right. So eventually, if that also is taken into account, then Krishna is also fulfilling that objective. He's demonstrating that for the sake of my bhakta, to uphold my bhakta's honor, I don't mind giving up my own honor. I'll give up my dignity for keeping up my bhakta's dignity. That is how my bhaktas are in my vision. That's how important my bhaktas are to me. That their dignity is more important to me than my own dignity. Okay, that message also is brought about. So this is what happens. And after that, Arjuna stops Krishna by clasping his feet. And even in that, there is a beautiful message to us how the Bhakta's place is not in the shoulders of Bhagavan. Arjuna holds his shoulders initially, but Bhagavan doesn't stop. When he holds his feet, he stops. So the Bhakta's place is at the feet of Bhagavan. So the Bhaktas are interested only in his feet and not in his shoulders or his head. And Arjuna holds his feet and he stops him, and then Sri Bhagavan turns. Arjuna promises him that, Krishna, I have understood what you want to tell me now, and now onwards, I will give my full potential. And so Krishna goes back to the chariot, Arjuna goes back. Bhishma also gets ready again for another fight. They resume the fight, and in that resumed fight, Bhishma continues to destroy the Pandava army. And Arjuna fights more valiantly than he did before, and he causes some amount of destruction on Bhishma. And both fight more furiously. But Bhishma's destruction of the Pandava army continues on day 9. And at the end of day 9, the Pandava army has lost the day, lost the battle. And what happens after that, I will tell you in the next class. At the end of day 9, a very interesting conversation happens. And that I will tell you. And that leads to what happens on day 10 of the war. and that will be covered in the next class. So Bhishma's story reaches a climax on day 10. That's when Bhishma eventually falls. And we will do that in the next class. I will stop with this, and we should remember that what we are discussing is the Bhagavad-Gita, and in the connection with Bhagavad-Gita, we are talking about Bhishma. We are not just talking about Bhishma like that. Bhishma is a hero, he's an inspiration, he is a bhakta, and all bhaktas are inspirations to us because they live through their lives, they show the best values that human beings can have. You see, especially in the context of management, we are in a management institute, we are talking about so many values that leaders should have in management and how they should lead ethically and so on. And the best examples of ethical leadership come from the bhaktas of Bhagavan. And that is why it's all the more important in a management institute to talk about the Bhagavad Gita, the Mahabharata, and characters like Bhishma, Yudhishthira, Arjuna, and of course, Sri Bhagavan himself, who leads the way. I will stop with this for today, and now I can take your questions and anything that you would like to say. Yeah, Prapti, yeah.
Yeah, so sir, while we were discussing in the first part about that yajna where the desire was to produce a son that can kill Indra,
Yeah,
and it was for revenge or vengeance.
yeah.
Is it not same as what we discussed from the Amba story that such kind of tapasya is tamas in nature, it should not
Yes.
be done?
Absolutely. That is, Tvashta's tapasya is like that. Tvashta's tapasya is done out of that sense of revenge. That is why it turns out to be, it doesn't lead to anything when that son also gets killed eventually, Vritrasura. So we don't use that as an example of what we should do. It's not something we should follow. Yeah.
And second one is, sir, all this question was on mind for many times, but many sessions, but we didn't get time. So today you mentioned one thing that Bhishma had conflict, like he had to uphold the obligation to the Kauravas, but his heart was at Pandavas.
Yeah.
So, sir, from a dharma perspective, and we've explained it a lot of time that it has different levels, and for a higher level of dharma, lower level can be, defied or something. So, again, from the narration of incident, as we understand, our understanding is limited. Like, wasn't it not, shouldn't Bhishma challenge Duryodhana and everybody else, because it is his job to protect that kingdom, and he had taken a vow that he will protect this kingdom, and make sure it will be,
So shouldn't Bhishma advise Duryodhana?
I know Duryodhana is not up for advice or everything, and Duryodhana was tried to counsel at a lot of time, but instead of fighting Arjuna, shouldn't he fight Duryodhana try to
He is not in a position to, because like I explained last time, Duryodhana is very clever, very shrewd. He's not like Kamsa. Kamsa is very crude. Explicitly, he comes and tells Devaki that I'll kill all your sons. When the son is born, I'll take it away and I'll kill the son. That's a very open this thing. So there you can, if somebody does that, then you immediately have a platform to go and fight with him. But Duryodhana is very dharmic in his behavior. In his mentality is completely adharmic. In his external behavior is very dharmic. And he manages to get people obliged through that. He creates obligations from others through external.
challenging him openly to fight.
Yes. He never gives a scope for Bhishma to challenge him and say, I will kill you. He always, offers service to Bhishma. There's also a story where he tries to set up Durvasa against the Pandavas. You know that I've told this earlier too, right? So how does he do it? He very cleverly does it. Although in his mind, if you see the story also, the narrative, how it's narrated.
He's pleasing first Durvasa.
Externally, his behavior is completely external. There is kapatta in that. Internally, he's thinking, my God, when will this fellow go away from here? Right? Internally, he's not able to take it. He's suffering. Because Durvasa is like really doing ragada. Yeah. He's really, putting him to task. Durvasa extracts him, puts him through military discipline like a concentration camp, takes everything out of him and finally blesses him. So, but Duryodhana goes through all that with the hope that eventually I'll get the blessing and misuse him. Exactly. So he does that. Of course, he doesn't have to do that much with Bhishma and so on because they are very affectionate. You see, Bhishma is their grandfather. So by default, he will give affection to his grandchildren, right? So he misused that affection.
And sir, second part was in Kshatriya Dharma or somewhere is it rightful that even while you're playing a game game like gambling, is it rightful to play? Because what I know that gambling is prohibited
In Kali Yuga, it is absolutely prohibited, but I think it was allowed under certain circumstances as a challenge. In certain circumstances, Dyuta Krida is allowed. Chalayatam Dyuta Krida, yes.
And then are there also any rules in the game where you can choose what you can put so this question very much comes how he is putting his brothers at stake and then his wife at stake.
Yeah. We will discuss that in some other class because there's a whole detailed discussion on that in the Mahabharata. What is the interpretation of how Yudhishthira takes that decision of putting others at stake after putting himself first?
Yeah.
If he himself has been given away to them, then does he still have the power to give his brothers one by one?
Does he still have the power? But does Dharma allow him, because he is known as Dharma, so does Dharma allow him that I can put my brother?
Yeah, Dharma. So I can guess from his actions because nobody points out, none of the others also point out that he did something adharmic there. They only ask the question. Draupadi also asks this question.
Draupadi is all about how does he put me?
Yeah, but you already have been given away. Yeah.
But then the question is, if it is allowed, and I only heard stories that after this incident happened in the Raj Darbar or wherever it was happening, amongst the common public also they started playing gamble and they started putting their family members and wives and other people on at stake. And there was a lot of adharma that was spreading.
It's possible, yes.
And there was a lot of adharma that then how can that be adharma when Yudhishthira is doing and nobody is questioning him as an adharma that he is giving away his brothers or his wife, and then public is doing the same thing. See,
Yudhishthira did not do this by choice. He got sucked into it. You should see that Yudhishthira.
Stop. If I don't own something, when I'm given away, I have nothing more to give away.
Yeah.
Brothers are individual things.
Yeah.
And my wife has own individuality. My brothers have their own individuality. I cannot put them.
So to understand.
He has mother also, and then he has many other things to put. Like why to stop at brother and wife? And there are a lot of other things that he can put up. Yeah.
See, one thing that I should say before we discuss the interpretation through dharma is a basic understanding is that even if the gambling match is played like that, because they are all relatives, they are all brothers, right? So in Yudhishthira's mind, Duryodhana is not going to do something wicked to us.
No, I'm not saying that.
So with that intention, he is playing. It's a game. Yeah. It's not that giving away my brother or giving myself away, he will harm me. Maybe he says you'll become my das. But even a das is treated with a lot of honor and respect, right? And he knows that this is happening in a friendly manner. It's like a friendly game. It's not with India and Pakistan. It's not happening between India and Pakistan. India will never give away something to Pakistan, nor will Pakistan give away something to India like that, right? Because we don't have that relationship. But here, the relationship is not like that. It is a relationship of in the same family, in the same house. There are people who grew up together, played several games together.
Has wickedness established until now, that Lakshagriya instance and everything?
It is not openly established. Yeah, there is a feeling that, Duryodhana has that wicked quality. But here he is calling them to play a game. He is not calling them for a war. It's not a battle. You follow? Later on, it is seen that this was used to do wickedness. His wickedness comes out as a result of this. When they are playing the game, just like in your family, you play snakes and ladders with somebody, right? And then you play the game, you'll say your cousin challenges you to that. I'll win, I'll do this. And if I win, you should give me this. You should give me your clothes or something like that. Then you may say, yes, we'll give. In the mood of playing, you will say yes. So you get sucked into it. You don't know that person has got a wicked intention. And normally in a family, there's no wicked intention, right? So with that trust, they play.
What is the expectation? I understand that doing wicked is not the expectation. He was not expecting that taking away his brothers and wife, he will do something.
Expectation was that at the end of the game, they will just say that we have won. And it'll all come back. They will give everything back. That's what happens. That's what Dhritarashtra. What does Dhritarashtra do? He gives everything back. At the end of the Draupadi insult and everything, what does Dhritarashtra say? He says, you take everything back. He restores everything back. He cancels the thing. But Duryodhana is not happy about that.
But then the event was not cancelled, right? Draupadi had to call Govinda to cancel.
Huh.
It was not cancelled
It,
by
it culminated, it because it went out of hand. See, nobody expected Dushasana to behave like that.
What?
Do you expect when you play snakes and ladders with your cousins in your house, do you expect them to behave in that manner? Suppose they playfully say
Correct.
that you are now mine. Then do they expect, you expect some brother of yours to come and start removing your clothes? You won't expect that, no. Nobody expects that. It is that you play with good trust.
Yeah, but the cancellation was not from the effect from Dhritarashtra's convincing. It was
Because even before anybody could realize what would happen, it happened so fast. So all of a sudden they saw Dushasana going into the chamber. They behaved in a manner they were not supposed to behave.
But why Draupadi had to rely on Govinda? Why other people who were righteously? I mean, at least they are saying this. They didn't expect Adharma is going to happen, but in the court there were many able people who could fight Duryodhana and challenge him. Can challenging you before you could do this? I want to challenge you. Why such incident didn't happen?
Yeah, we'll go into the details of why they didn't respond to that. But first, what we should see here is that Dushasana and Duryodhana behaved in a manner that they should not have behaved. Means this is just meant to be a friendly game between two parties, right? And these parties went with trust. There is trust and affection on this side. They are playing with them not out of enmity. You play any sport match. We play cricket here, GMP versus the staff. It's played with, there's cordiality between the two sides, right? In the match itself, there may be force. Both sides are trying to win, but overall, there is a cordiality. At the end of it, they all shake hands, they embrace each other, take a photograph together. This is what is expected. So that kind of cordiality was expected here too. When from Yudhishthira's and the Pandavas side, they expected that these people who are playing with us, they may win the game. That is fine. We will lose the game. But whatever happens, loss eventually will result in a happy ending.
Correct.
We will get back whatever we have lost.
But then
yeah, why they didn't respond at that moment, we will go into the details of that. Okay, we'll go into the details of that. But whatever it is, the wrong was done on this side, and Dhritarashtra at the end of it, all of it gets over very suddenly. At the end of it, Dhritarashtra, who is not at all happy with what happened, he returns everything back to them.
But it only happens after Krishna gives him Divya Drashti and he sees the destruction, and then he realizes that he didn't realize this because of his own. Until that time, he was still in some way supporting his son.
No, he's not supporting. He is never supporting his son in that incident. He is supporting in the larger story. In the larger story, Dhritarashtra doesn't want his son to be wicked. He is hoping that his son also will understand that Krishna is Bhagavan. Dhritarashtra has good intention he is not wicked. Dhritarashtra is not wicked like his son. He is a dharmic person.
But he's in with his son and
his affection for his son
not letting
makes him take his side even when his son is wicked. He's all the time hoping that his son will return and reform, will do the right thing, will not do the wrong thing.
That is reflected.
He advises his son many times to give the kingdom back
and not to do the war and etc.
Yes.
And when Krishna comes for negotiation, I think Dhritarashtra advises him that we should negotiate, but he had other plans.
Exactly. That is how we should understand it. So trust, it's a classic case of trust, putting trust in the wrong person.
Correct.
Trusting and that happens when somebody is a bhakta. This is one of the weaknesses that a bhakta has. A bhakta of Bhagavan becomes so soft in his heart that he ends up trusting even the most wicked people. He doesn't mind even if the wicked. Sometimes he knows that the wicked person is harming me. Even then he doesn't mind. He sees it with compassion. He sees that this wicked person needs it. He has a need. He is suffering. Let him exploit me. Okay, let him exploit me. Sometimes a bhakta may even think like that. That is a softness of heart. And that's exactly what Arjuna is displaying in the first chapter of Bhagavad-Gita. Because of his bhakti, he sees that even if they kill me, it's okay. Let me suffer. Let them be happy. Let them have the kingdom. It's okay. I don't want to kill them. That is a softness of heart. Nobody expects that Draupadi will be insulted like that.
That much I understood in the beginning also when I was asking the question that it was not expected that such thing will happen. But
so eventually we should see this as the larger plan. See, when Bhagavan comes here in the 4th chapter, he says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutanam adharmasya tadatmanam shajamyaham paritranaya sadhuna minashaya cha dushkritam. So he has a plan. Shri Bhagavan has a plan. And this is the end of the Dwapar Yuga, the beginning of Kali Yuga. That's when, the Kali Yuga is going to begin. So one whole set of wicked people have accumulated. So Bhagavan has to come and he has to now remove them. So in the process of removing them, he sets up so many leelas. And one of the leelas is this Draupadi leela, where he becomes the sari of Draupadi and he takes that form and
It is not taught to us in this manner actually.
yeah.
It is
So
taught
if
to us in
we-
this manner that if somebody is born over something, they have right to do anything to them.
Yeah.
And
No,
that's
that's
how
not.
it is taught to us even when we are reading normal history, like all the, although not speaking against any community or something, but when the Mughals came and all the wars happened,
Yeah.
whatever you are winning, you are taking them back and doing whatever you want to
Yeah.
do with them. And that's how these incidents were also
Yes,
taught to
they were
us.
taught like that. Yes. Because the larger picture is not seen. So now when we read the Gita and we see what is Krishna's intention, what Shri Bhagavan's intention is, and how he performs his leelas through his bhaktas. So Draupadi is a bhakta of Bhagavan. All the 5 Pandavas are Kuntis. So they are all the bhaktas. And through them, he uses them in his manner, in a manner that they feel happy. So when Draupadi is calling out to Krishna, she is in ecstasy actually. She is in that bhakti, the highest bhakti, when she just turns to him and she says that there is nobody other than you. And second time when Durvasa comes with that thing. Yeah. So 2 times she does this, she goes through the same thing. And each time it's a blessing for her from Bhagavan. She's put in that position. And I think if you were to go and ask her, would you like to go through a similar thing again? She'd probably say yes. Because the intensity with which I thought about Bhagavan at that time, I never think about him like that normally. I think about him all the time, but the intensity with which I called out to him and the intimacy I feel with him at that time, that is very unique. So let Bhagavan give that to me again and again. I would think she would think like that, knowing the mentality of bhaktas. Because in the Bhagavatam, Mother Kunti prays to Krishna. She says that please give us difficulty, more and more difficulty, because only when difficulty comes, we think about you intensely. And we want to think about you. So this is the mentality of bhakti.
I think along the same lines, if you were to extend that thought, Sri Krishna was enraged that, to say the least, that Arjuna was not fulfilling his potential, right?
Yes.
So, is that why he was enraged? That is it like an adharmic thing not to fulfill one's own potential, that it angers Bhagavan?
It is not the anger. Bhagavan is concerned that the person is capable. He is my bhakta. He is supposed to display even better. So he wants to inspire him. So it's an act of inspiration more than an act of anger.
Okay.
Just to
And,
inspire him, I will go down myself and let me see what he will. Just like, sometimes, let's say your father is telling you to do something again and again and you don't do it. Then eventually your father says, okay, if you don't do it, I will do it myself. Since I know you are not capable of doing it, your father will say something like that. Then when you hear your father saying you are not capable of doing it, then you will say, no, I'll do it. Right? Your father is basically instigating your emotions. He
yes,
wants you to do it. But since you are not doing it, now he is saying like this so that you can do it.
okay. Yeah.
Shiv Bhagavan is doing that, yeah.
And I think I can draw one more parallel with the story of Gajendra Moksham, when I think it symbolically represents bhaktas calling out to Bhagavan. And in particular, I want to ask about this how one attains moksha. You mentioned that Bhishma was welcoming Krishna, Sri Bhagavan, to kill him, right? Because that would be like a straight ticket to moksha.
Yes.
So is that what are these? What is the reasoning behind that? Like how can that be a direct ticket to moksha when others do so much to attain moksha?
Yeah, because in the Ashtama Skanda, Ashtama Adhyaya of Bhagavad-Gita, Shri Bhagavan says, no, yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam eva iti kaunteya, tam eva eti kaunteya, sada tad bhava bhavita. Says, whatever you think about at the time of death, that state you will attain. And so, it says, tasmat sarveshu kaleshu ma manusmara yudhyacha. So always think about me and do your duty. In this case, fighting. So, the idea is ultimately the people who talk about moksha as the goal of life. You see, among the sadhakas in Vedanta, one of the goals is moksha, right? Moksha is considered the highest goal of the basic form of Vedanta. And moksha is to not be born again. And among the Vedantic schools, bhakti, the schools of bhakti, so their understanding is that the highest perfection is moksha in Vaikuntha. That is, you get moksha and be born in Vaikuntha, or take residence in Vaikuntha eternally in the seva of Bhagavan. Right? That kind of moksha. So to attain that, one should perform bhakti and always think of Bhagavan and ensure that one thinks of Bhagavan at the time of death as well. So that if one is thinking of Bhagavan at the time of death, then one will automatically attain Bhagavan in the next birth. One will not take a birth again in this samsara. That is the thinking of the Mokshavadis. Mokshavadi bhakti.
Yes,
Right?
sir.
So if Bhagavan is himself coming towards somebody and he says, now I am coming to you and this is the time for you to leave your body. Right?
Then Bhagavan said last thought while dying.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Got it.
Yes, Niharika. I'll just take Niharika's question. Yeah.
Yeah, just wanted to extend what he was saying. I
Yeah.
think for Bhishma, what was also shown when the Virat Rupam incident happened is he was one of the 3 people in the court who could see that Rupam. So
Yeah.
somewhere he is also one of the very few blessed people who, because of his dharma, is able to see that it is God who is coming to him.
Yes.
For others, he is just a sarathi or just
Warrior.
another person,
Just
but
another
he
warrior.
is able
Yes.
to embrace his charging upon, because he is so divine that he is able to see divine in Krishna,
Yes.
basically. So that also somewhere is coming up, and I think the messaging also is what you were narrating in the story, that while we think we should think of God during our death, it is actually very difficult realistically, because
Yes.
when we are dying we are thinking of the things that we are losing, materialistic things.
Yes.
Somewhere the entire message through this is how can we live our life in such a way that at that time we do not think of the family, people and foundations that we are leaving behind, but just think about the person we are going to, the Almighty.
Sri Bhagavan. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Niharika. Udit, you had a question.
Sir, my question was that initially Sri Bhagavan said that he would not be participating in the war, he would just watch, be a charity. And then he sort of breaks his vow to make sure that his vow is intact. Now, if he's breaking the vow, aren't there any consequences corresponding to that? I mean, if he said something that he'll do and he's not doing it, is there anything that could be done again, like with respect to dharma or something of that sort? Maybe some other person would have seen Sri Bhagavan,
But
Yeah.
he actually didn't
Yeah.
take the vow.
Actually, yeah. So the vow actually eventually doesn't get broken. It looks like he's going to break it. He gets down and rushes towards him. So the first basic understanding is that he wanted to instigate Arjuna. He wanted to inspire him and bring him out of what he thought was a shell. Arjuna is not playing to his potential. So bring him to his full potential. To do that, he got out. The other interpretation is that Bhishma's vow, which is not there in the Mahabharata or in the Bhagavatam, but mentioned in the Bhagavatam indirectly, to fulfill that vow, he acted like that. And so he probably had the knowledge that he doesn't have to break the vow, but before he breaks the vow, this is what would happen. Arjuna will stop me and I will then go back.
part of his leela.
So it's also a part of his leela. So he performs a leela like that. Just like the father who's now speaking like this to his child, knows that the child will now respond like this. If I tell the child like this, it will go and do it, what it has to do. So he acts like that, but he doesn't do it himself. So he knows that Arjuna will now act like this if I do like this. So knowing that, so his vow never gets broken actually. Yeah. Of course, if let's say in some other Leela, if you see Bhagavan actually breaking a vow he took, then still that can be interpreted as upholding a higher dharma to discard a lower one. So dharma has higher levels to it, and sometimes a lower dharma, which when you say lower dharma, it means something that takes us to a lesser level of benefit.
Prioritization.
Yeah. So the ultimate benefit is something different from what we were getting otherwise. And therefore, to go for that ultimate benefit, Sri Bhagavan broke his other vow. And it's okay if people condemn him. It's
And
okay.
he ends up getting cursed for it somewhere. Every time he has broken a vow, there are evidences of so many curses that he is living through his life
He,
as a
he maybe takes a curse. Some leelas, he may also take somebody's
take a
curse from somebody.
curse.
Maybe in some leela he does that. So that becomes a part of his leela. So whatever Sri Bhagavan does is seen by us as a leela. It's his, he's enjoying it. Everything he's enjoying in different ways. He ultimately brings people to path of dharma, because dharma is what gives happiness. Arunabha, you had a question?
Sir, yes, sir. Sir, actually, I had 2, 3 questions, but I'll try to stick to as minimum as possible, sir.
Okay.
So one of the reasons where this entire Youth Krida happened was the fact that Draupadi had commented on Duryodhan that uh, uh, he is a son of a blind man, right? When he fell down into the pool, he couldn't see the pool and he fell down in the pool, and there's a comment that Andhe ka putra andha. So
Uh,
that
wait. Whether this is also there, Jayashri, is this comment there? I've heard that when he fell into the pool, Draupadi did not say anything. There's some version which says she laughed and then he got insulted.
No, in the Vyasa Mahabharata, Draupadi doesn't appear in this story where Duryodhana falls in the pool and he goes to that Sabha Bhavana, which is built by Mayasura,
Right.
Mayadanava, and he falls and then he hits his head to a door, thinking that it is something, thinking that it is glass. So, and actually, Draupadi is not there in the Sabha at all, Sabha Bhavana. It is
Okay.
said that Duryodhana hears the Pandavas laughing at him. He doesn't look at them who is laughing, but he assumes that Bhima, Arjuna, Krishna are all laughing at him. And that is a trigger for all the events that follow later.
Yes.
But Draupadi
Yes,
is not there in the picture, and this Draupadi laughing at him. I've read this, these versions in all the modern WhatsApp Mahabharata, Internet Mahabharata that we have.
Okay. Yeah. So sorry. I stand corrected over there, sir. And ma'am, thank you, ma'am.
It's ultimately Duryodhana's imagination that somebody was laughing at him. He did not see also anybody laughing at him, right?
Yes, it could be. I mean, that's how Vyasa puts it, that Duryodhana was felt so insulted that he didn't even look up. And he imagined that Bhima, it must be Bhima's voice.
Okay, but he heard somebody laughing.
Yes, he heard somebody laughing.
Okay.
Yes.
But doesn't know who is the one who's laughing.
He didn't know
Yes.
who was laughing. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So what is your
Yeah. So the question is, if someone feels insulted, how should someone behave, or how should he take it? Is there any reference to it in anywhere in Mahabharata or anywhere else, sir? Because insult hits like anything, right? When we are insulted that we don't know this, or something happens, like this happened in the case of Mahabharata, the chain of events that happened can be attributed to that particular, quote unquote insult.
Yeah.
So is there any reference to how should we behave if we are subjected to insult, if one is subjected to insult, if that can be narrated? So that is one request.
In my understanding, is from a bhakta's perspective, a bhakta sees everything as belonging to Bhagavan, and he sees himself as a das of Bhagavan. So his ego, you see, the experience of insult is owing to our ahankara, our false identity. If somebody has a pure realization that I am a das of Bhagavan, and he has that deep attachment to Bhagavan, a genuine attachment to Bhagavan, then even when he is insulted, he's treated insultingly by somebody, what would be perceived by others as insulting, the bhakta will not perceive as insulting. He will just brush it aside. He will not, in other words, he will not experience insult. Yudhishthira, for example, never felt insulted. In see Yudhishthira's behavior, he never took personal insult. He never took, I mean, so many times you can see that the actions performed against him were insulting by normal standards of insult, right?
Sir.
To kill him. But he never had any sense of revenge in him. There's no sense of insult or revenge in him. That's why he's called Ajata Shatru. I mean, one whose enemy has not been born. One whose enemy was not born, who's never took birth. Because he never had any grudge against anybody that so and so insulted me, which means he never felt insult.
So, sir, then in that case, I mean, insults, the other side of insult is ego. So now it's a
the basic. The insult builds on the platform of ahankara. When you think that I am so and so, I am something, I am somebody. But if the understanding of the self, I am a jivatma, I am a das of Bhagavan, and everything I am doing, my existence, all the activities I am doing are for his pleasure. I do them keeping him in mind. So if somebody behaves in a manner that can be interpreted normally as insulting, for the bhakta, it doesn't matter. He only thinks of how, what he should do in terms of an appropriate action. That's all. The appropriate action to perform at that time would be something, and he would do that.
Sir.
He would not think in terms of revenge. I should punish that person. I should show him who I am. That kind of thinking will not come. I will prove to him who I am. That kind of thinking will not be there. He'll just say, in this situation, I should remain silent. Let me remain silent, it will die off. That his anger will go away. Like Vasishta, for example. When Vishwamitra is conducting a terrorist attack on his ashram, we discussed that in an earlier story. He's going on dropping missiles on his ashram and destroying the ashram. Vasishta, he just absorbs it. He just stands there with his command, that stick, that staff, it's called some name, that danda, Brahma Danda, With that Brahma Danda, he stands there and absorbs all the missiles. He doesn't seek revenge on Vishwamitra. He could have killed Vishwamitra instantly if he wanted to. He just absorbs everything and then Vishwamitra goes away. That's all, it's over. So there's no sense of insult, there's no sense of revenge in that person's mind. So this ability in us, your question is actually very relevant because it applies to all of us because we get insulted. So if we are able to develop that ability to not get insulted when somebody behaves in a manner that can be considered insulting, then that shows us that we have actually made progress. That is spiritual knowledge. Only when there is some level of spiritual knowledge, it's possible to do this.
So is a sattvic form of life more leads towards, balancing,
living sattvikally, yes. Living sattva, because sattva means strength. Sattva means strength. The more and more sattva that develops in us, the greater will be the ability to respond in this manner. To respond appropriately in different circumstances, including the situation of insult. Yes. So a sattvic person like Vasishta keeps very calm. Yes.
Sir, then is it fair to say that lesser the ego, if someone, the basis of insult is ego. On one side is ego. Ahankara,
Yes.
The basis of insult is ahankara. Yes. So is it fair to say that lesser the ahankara or, the self-esteem, the easier it is to tolerate an insult? Is it fair statement?
Self-esteem is not the correct word. Ahankara is not self-esteem. Self-esteem is a positive thing. It is not bad. Self-esteem in psychology, the way it's defined and the way it's also explained. See, for example, all the bhaktas have a very high sense of self-esteem. Self-esteem is not ahankara. Do you follow?
Sir.
That's a source of strength. Self-esteem is the identity that I am a das of Bhagavan. And that gives strength. Ahankara is the false identity that I am so and so. I am, for example, I am Ajit Kumar. I am a senior professor in XLRI. I am so and so. I have so many students. They will do whatever I tell. If they don't do, I will do this. I'll give them an F in my course. My power, I'm so powerful. I'm unstoppable. So this kind of thinking is ahankara. Self-esteem, I am a das of Bhagavan. I will do whatever is pleasing to him. He will give me the strength. He will guide me. I'll depend on him for my guidance. I'll call out to him. I'm blessed by him. I depend upon him. This is self-esteem, correct identity. This gives strength. So yes, ahankara is the basis of not being able to respond to insult properly and doing something stupid like we have seen some cases in the Shastra. Om Swasti Prajabhyah Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha Gobhramanebhyo Shubhamastu Nityam Lokas Samastas Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Tad Vishno Paramam Padagum Sada Pashyanti Surayah Divi Vachakshuratatam Tad Vipraso Vipanyavo Jagruvagum Sassamindhate Vishnoryat Paramam Padam Paryaptya Anantarayaya Sarvastamotiratra Uttamamaharbhavati Sarvasyaptyai Sarvasya Jityai Sarvameva Tena Apnoti Sarvam Jayati. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Dhanyavada. Punarmilamah.